Nobody expected the Minnesota Vikings to walk into Soldier Field and flip the script like that. In a game that started like a nightmare, J.J. McCarthy didn't just survive his NFL debut, he turned it into a full-blown fourth-quarter takeover. The Bears were supposed to be the ones sending a message, but instead, it was the Vikings who left the stadium with everyone stunned. This wasn't just a win. It was a warning shot to the entire league that Minnesota's quarterback might be built for moments bigger than anyone imagined. It looked like the pressure would swallow him whole. National television, hostile crowd, slow start, and then a brutal pick six that made every critic feel right. The offense was stuck, the play calling was cautious, and fans were already calling for the backup. But here's the twist. That interception didn't break JJ, it woke him up. What followed was a fearless string of plays that felt like something out of a movie. Lasers to Justin Jefferson, a perfect wheel route dime to Aaron Jones. And then the unexpected dagger, a read option call on 3rd and 1 that sealed it with his legs. This wasn't just about arm talent, it was about guts. And this changes everything. McCarthy didn't just lead a comeback, he rewrote the entire feel of the Vikings season in one wild fourth quarter. The questions about whether he was ready didn't get answered with words, they got crushed with throws, decisions, and moments that veterans sometimes fold under. But if you think it was just McCarthy who flipped the game, think again. Because the rest of this offense and one unshakable rookie mindset set the stage for what happened next. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Vikings and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. For most of the first half, it looked like the Minnesota Vikings had made a huge mistake. J.J. McCarthy, the rookie quarterback fresh off the draft stage, was completely out of rhythm. The game plan was stiff, the throws were hesitant, and the pressure felt like it was piling up every second. Fans watching at home and in the stadium saw what they feared most: conservative calls from Kevin O'Connell, a collapsing offensive line, and a quarterback who seemed lost under the bright lights. But here's what nobody saw coming. The chaos of that first half was just the setup for the storm that came later. At one point, it wasn't just about poor execution. It felt like a total collapse. The offensive line couldn't hold the edge. The run game had no life. Jordan Mason was fighting for extra yards but running into walls. Even Justin Jefferson dropped passes he normally hauls in blindfolded. And when McCarthy handed the Bears 7 points with that pick six, the narrative was writing itself too young, too soon, and maybe not ready. But this wasn't the end. It was the moment the game split in two. The best stories always have a low point before the hero rises. And this was it. Everything that could go wrong in that first half did. The boos were building, the online hate was loud, and the Vikings were staring at a meltdown on national television. But what happened next flipped the entire tone. JJ didn't flinch. He didn't pout. He adjusted. And when that locker room door opened at halftime, it wasn't just the plays that changed, it was the energy. What McCarthy unleashed in the next half wasn't just improvement. It was a full-blown answer to every doubt anyone had. And it started with one throw. The pick six should have crushed J.J. McCarthy. For most quarterbacks, that's the kind of moment that triggers panic, forces bad decisions, and sends confidence into a spiral. But this is where McCarthy separated himself. Instead of folding, he flipped a mental switch. From that point forward, it was like a completely different quarterback took the field. Gone was the hesitation. In its place, swagger, command, and a fearless approach that turned Soldier Field into his proving ground. That interception wasn't a failure, it was a fuse. The next drive told you everything you needed to know about his mindset. McCarthy didn't play it safe. He came out attacking. He zipped a dart to Justin Jefferson that sliced straight through the middle of the defense. Perfect ball placement, perfect timing, and it landed right in stride for 6. Moments later, he dropped a beautiful wheel route pass right into the hands of Aaron Jones against tight cover 2 spacing. These weren't lucky throws. They were calculated, confident decisions made under pressure. McCarthy wasn't just bouncing back, he was owning the moment with precision. But what really made the football world stop and stare was how calm he looked doing it. This wasn't about stats on a box score. This was about a rookie stepping into a moment and saying, "Give me the ball." While critics were yelling for the Vikings to bench him, JJ was busy turning the entire momentum of the game around. And just when the Bears' defense thought they had seen it all, the Vikings pulled out a move that shocked everyone. Because the next time the ball was in McCarthy's hands, he didn't throw it, he ran. And that's where things really got wild. 3rd and 1, fourth quarter, game on the line. And that's when Kevin O'Connell dialed up something nobody saw coming. Instead of a short handoff or a safe slant, J.J. McCarthy took the snap, read the defense, and kept it himself. A rookie quarterback running a read option with the game hanging in the balance? That's not just bold, that's trust. And McCarthy made it count, bursting through the edge, moving the chains, and signaling that this was his game to finish. But this drive was more than one clever call. It was a masterclass in clutch execution. J.J. stepped into every throw with conviction, navigating pressure without panicking. One moment, it was a pinpoint pass to the sideline. The next, he dropped a laser through a narrow window to keep the momentum alive. His throw to Justin Jefferson, threaded perfectly through tight coverage, was the kind of play most rookies hesitate on. McCarthy didn't blink. He hit his mark, again and again, stacking confidence with every snap. And that confidence infected the entire offense. You could see it in the body language of the O-line. You could feel it in how the receivers fought for extra yards. Even the run game, which had struggled all night, suddenly started clicking in those final minutes. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a takeover. And with every play, the Bears' defense lost more control. But what made this finish even crazier was who stepped up right alongside McCarthy when it mattered most. Because while JJ was stealing the spotlight, two under-the-radar names were quietly swinging the game behind the scenes. While JJ McCarthy lit up the fourth quarter, it was Jordan Mason and Jalen Nailor who gave the Vikings the hidden fuel they needed when the game was slipping away. Mason didn't have a flashy night, but his runs were violent, determined, and relentless. Every time he touched the ball, he moved forward. He finished with 68 rushing yards on 15 carries. But the real value came in moments when the offense needed toughness. He lowered his shoulder, dragged defenders, and gave the Vikings just enough push to stay alive before the explosion began. And then came the spark from Jalen Nailor. Just before halftime, when nothing was working and the offense looked completely flat, McCarthy connected with Nailor on a deep crossing route that flipped the mood of the entire stadium. With only seconds left on the clock and one timeout in their pocket, it was that bullet of a throw, plus Nailor's clean route and awareness that set up Will Reichard's monster 59-yard field goal. That sequence didn't just add 3 points. It swung the energy back toward the Vikings and gave McCarthy the space to breathe and reset. Brian Flores didn't just make adjustments at halftime, he launched a second-half ambush. The Bears came out after the break with momentum and a lead, but within minutes, it vanished. For nearly 2 quarters, Chicago's offense was locked in a cage. From the start of the third to late in the fourth, the Bears posted -1 total yards. That's not a typo, that's domination. With Caleb Williams trying to find any kind of rhythm, the Vikings defense closed every lane and sent a message: no more freebies. The pass rush came alive with a vengeance. Javon Hargrave led the charge with 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss, proving wrong everyone who said he couldn't defend the run. Jonathan Greenard chipped in with consistent pressure, even if the stat sheet didn't tell the full story. And while Blake Cashman left the game with a hamstring injury, the rest of the defense didn't blink. Eric Wilson stepped up, and the unit swarmed to the football with urgency. There were no blown coverages, no mental lapses, just pure execution from front to back. All eyes were on Caleb Williams. The Bears had handed him the keys, loaded up the offense with weapons, and built a new line to protect him. On paper, this was his moment. But when it came down to execution, poise, and command, J.J. McCarthy looked like the better quarterback. Caleb had a few bright moments early, but as the game wore on, his throws became rushed, his accuracy dipped, and the pressure got to him. He finished 21 of 35 with just 1 meaningful touchdown, and most of his numbers came when the game was already slipping away. McCarthy, on the other hand, didn't just manage the fourth quarter, he owned it. He made throws on third down, escaped collapsing pockets, and moved the chains when everything was on the line. He wasn't rattled, he wasn't looking over his shoulder, he played like a leader, and the contrast was hard to ignore. One quarterback was steady, cold, and fearless. The other was forcing it, hoping something would click. Caleb didn't look bad, but McCarthy looked like he had something extra, something internal that can't be coached. So let's hear it from you. What impressed you most about this Vikings performance? Was it McCarthy's poise, the defense's lockdown second half, or the hidden heroes like Jordan Mason and Jalen Nailor? Drop your answers below and let us know who deserves your game ball. And if you're riding with this team the rest of the way, smash that like button and hit subscribe for non-stop Vikings content all season long. This is just the beginning. And if this is what the beginning looks like, the future might be even crazier.